The rejection email from Mega Games Studios sat open on my laptop, its condescending tone perfectly matching the dismissive meeting I'd just endured. While we appreciate your submission, your game lacks the professional polish and market appeal our platform requires. I glanced around my small apartment, where for the past 2 years I poured every ounce of energy, savings, and hope into creating something different. Something that could change gaming forever. The walls were covered in concept art and algorithm flowcharts. 3 monitors displayed different aspects of my game's code, including the part they'd never bothered to look at. "Alex," my sister Ginny's voice came through the phone. "Maybe it's time to consider their offer. Junior programmer positions at Mega Games pay well, and..." They didn't even test it properly, I cut in, watching the hidden subroutines running in my debug window. They played for 10 minutes and called it amateur garbage. My name is Alex Chen, and until today, I was just another indie game developer with a dream. But what Mega Games and every other major studio had missed wasn't just the game. It was an entirely new way of creating virtual worlds. The adaptive AI alone took 18 months to perfect. I told Jenny, if they'd play long enough to trigger the evolution protocols. "Alex, listen to yourself. Evolution protocols? Adaptive AI? Games don't work that way. They follow scripts, patterns. That's what players want." If she only knew what was really happening inside my code. The thing about modern games is that they're predictable. Enemy AI follows predetermined patterns. NPCs repeat the same dialogues. Every playthrough is essentially the same experience with minor variations. But what I created was different. The world itself evolved based on player interactions. NPCs developed their own personalities and memories. The entire game learned and adapted, becoming more complex the more it was played. My phone buzzed. A message from Tom Zhang, my old roommate from college. "Just saw Mega Games Portal. They're featuring another Battle Royale clone. Ready to show them what real innovation looks like." I smiled, thinking of the private server we'd set up months ago. "Phase 1 is ready. Did you finish the distribution system?" "Better. Got us space on 3 major indie platforms. 1 upload and we'll live worldwide. The gaming industry runs on formulas. Find a successful pattern, copy it with slight modifications, market it heavily. Innovation is seen as risky. Different is dangerous. That's why none of the major studios had looked deeper into my game. They saw the surface, simple graphics, basic mechanics, and dismissed it. They never noticed the complex systems running underneath. My laptop pinged, an email from Dr. Sarah Williams at MIT's Game Lab. "Alex, just reviewed your technical documentation. The behavioral evolution algorithms are extraordinary. When can you start the closed beta?" I'd met Sarah at a gaming conference last year where she'd shown unusual interest in my theoretical approach to game AI. "Tonight," I replied. "Everything's in place." The core of my game, titled simply Evolution, looked basic on the surface. Players explored a medieval fantasy world, solving puzzles and interacting with NPCs. Standard stuff. But beneath that familiar exterior lay something revolutionary, an AI system that didn't just control characters, it evolved the entire world. Every player interaction shaped not just their own game, but the underlying fabric of the virtual universe. NPCs learned from conversations, developed relationships, and made decisions based on accumulated experiences. Environments changed based on player behavior. The game itself evolved, becoming more complex and nuanced with each person who played it. My phone buzzed again, an invitation to join a video call with several prominent indie game reviewers. "Your submission materials are intriguing," said Marcus Wong, known for discovering breakthrough indie titles. "But there's something you're not showing. What's really going on under the hood?" I shared my screen, showing them not the game footage, but the living code beneath it. The neural networks learning and adapting in real time. The evolutionary algorithms reshaping the virtual world. "Holy shit," someone whispered as I demonstrated how the system worked. "This isn't a game, it's a living digital ecosystem." Marcus leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "The major studios rejected this. They never saw this part. They didn't play long enough." "Good," he said firmly, "because what you've built could change everything." "When do you launch?" I checked my watch. 3 hours, small at first, just a few thousand beta keys. "Perfect. Give us exclusive coverage rights for the first week. We'll help it spread organically. After the call, I dove back into final preparations. The distribution servers were ready. The monitoring systems were in place. Everything was set for the first real test of what my game could do. Jenny called again. Alex, seriously, Mom's worried. Dad keeps asking when you'll get a real job. Tell him to watch their emails tomorrow morning, I replied. Everyone's about to understand what I've been working on. What nobody knew yet was that the initial release was just the beginning. The real power of my system would only become apparent as more people played, as the world evolved and the AI adapted to thousands of simultaneous interactions. My phone lit up with another message, this time from an anonymous email address I recognized. One of the senior developers at Mega Games who'd been at my rejection meeting. Just saw your code repository. The evolutionary algorithms. How did you solve the complexity scaling? I smiled, thinking of the condescending looks they'd given me that morning. Maybe you should have played past the tutorial. At exactly midnight, Evolution went live on 3 indie gaming platforms. I sent out the first batch of beta keys to carefully selected players, streamers, reviewers, and gaming academics who would understand what they were seeing. Then I sat back and watched as the system began to wake up. The first players logged in, expecting another simple indie game. What they found was something else entirely, a world that remembered them, characters that learned, a game that evolved with every choice they made. In my apartment, surrounded by monitors showing the growing neural networks and adaptation patterns, I thought about all the rejections, all the dismissive executives, all the people who'd said this couldn't be done. Dad's words from years ago echoed in my mind. Sometimes the best innovations are the ones nobody believes in until they see them working. He was right, and in a few hours, everyone would understand why. Part 2. Digital Evolution. The first 24 hours after launch changed everything. I watched in amazement as the monitoring screens lit up with activity, each new player triggering cascading changes throughout the game's ecosystem. Alex, Marcus Wong's voice was excited over the video call. The streaming numbers are insane. Have you seen what's happening in the Northern Kingdom? I had. A group of players had spent hours talking to an NPC blacksmith, teaching him about advanced metallurgy. Instead of simply repeating programmed responses, the AI had learned, adapted, and started creating entirely new weapon designs that weren't in the original game code. That's just the beginning, I replied, watching the neural networks expand. Wait until the cross-player interactions start affecting the world evolution. The thing about traditional gaming is that player actions only affect their own game instance, but in evolution, every player's choices influence the shared digital ecosystem. The world itself was learning from everyone simultaneously. My phone buzzed. Dr. Sarah Williams from MIT. Alex, our analysis team has been monitoring the AI patterns. This isn't just game development anymore. You've created a genuine artificial ecosystem. The implications for machine learning are staggering. That's when the first viral video started hitting YouTube. Mind-blowing. AI game remembers everything. This NPC just learned physics by watching players. Evolution game creates new language between characters. Players were discovering what the major studios had missed. Characters remembered conversations from days ago. Towns developed unique cultures based on player interactions. The game world was literally evolving before their eyes. Then came the message I'd been waiting for, from James Chen, CEO of Mega Games. We may have been hasty in our assessment. Perhaps we could discuss an acquisition? Name your price. I thought about their dismissive rejection, their condescending smirks. No thank you. But you might want to watch tomorrow's technology conference. The International Game Developers Conference had invited me to give an emergency presentation, not about the game itself, but about the revolutionary AI system driving it. What you're seeing in evolution isn't just game AI, I explained to the packed auditorium. It's a new paradigm in digital consciousness. The game doesn't just react to players, it learns, grows, and creates. I showed them the neural networks, the adaptation algorithms, the emergent behavior patterns. The room fell silent as they realized the implications. Every NPC in the game has a unique neural network that develops through interactions. They form memories, develop preferences, learn from experiences. But more importantly, they share these learnings across the network, creating a collective intelligence that evolves the entire game world. Questions exploded from the audience. How had I solved the complexity scaling? How did I maintain stability with thousands of simultaneous neural evolutions? How had I achieved genuine emergent behavior? The secret, I explained, isn't in controlling the evolution, it's in guiding it. The system has fundamental rules, like DNA in biological evolution, but the expressions of those rules are unlimited. That's when I revealed what was really happening. Evolution wasn't just a game. It was a prototype for a new kind of artificial intelligence, one that could revolutionize everything from educational software to scientific simulations. The next few weeks were a blur. Major tech companies called with partnership offers. Research institutions wanted to study the technology. Gaming studios scrambled to understand what we created. But the most meaningful responses came from the players themselves. This game helped my autistic son understand social interactions, one mother wrote. The patient, adaptive NPCs talk in patterns he'd never grasped before. A teacher reported using the game's evolving economic system to teach complex market dynamics. A linguistics professor documented the emergence of new communication patterns between NPCs. The game was becoming more than I'd ever imagined. Jenny called, her voice excited. Alex, Dad just played it. He spent 3 hours talking to a village elder who learned his entire life story. He finally understands what you've been working on. 6 months after launch, evolution had grown in ways even I hadn't predicted. Players had created thriving societies with their own customs, languages, and cultures. NPCs had developed complex relationships and histories. The game world had evolved into something far richer than any designed environment. Megagame's stock dropped when investors realized what they'd missed. They eventually licensed our technology, as did most major studios. But by then, we'd already moved beyond gaming. The adaptive AI system found applications in education, scientific research, and social simulation. We established the Evolution Technology Institute, focused on developing and implementing the technology responsibly. Tom runs our core development team now. Sarah Williams leads the research division at MIT. Marcus Wong became our head of public relations, helping explain the technology to the world. Last week, I received a message that made me smile. Dear Mr. Chen, I'm a neuroscience researcher using your AI system to model brain development. Yesterday, we discovered a new pattern in neural adaptation that could help treat learning disabilities. Your game is literally helping us understand human consciousness. Thank you for pushing boundaries when everyone said it couldn't be done. Dr. Maria Rodriguez. I keep that message pinned to my office wall, next to Megagame's rejection letter. Together, they remind me that innovation often looks like failure to those too comfortable with the status quo. The Institute itself is different from traditional tech companies. We encourage experimentation, questioning, unexpected connections. Every developer is taught to look for emergent patterns, to nurture evolution rather than control it. The original Evolution game continues to grow, its world becoming increasingly complex and fascinating. Players still discover new emergent behaviors, new patterns of interaction, new possibilities we never programmed. Yesterday, a young developer showed me something remarkable. NPCs had started creating their own art, music, and stories, expressing creativity that emerged naturally from their evolved consciousness. This wasn't in the original code, she said, amazed. That's the point, I replied. True evolution creates things its creators never imagined. The gaming industry has changed dramatically. Studios now focus on creating living worlds rather than scripted experiences. Players expect genuine interaction and growth rather than predetermined responses. Last month, I spoke at a game development school. A student asked what it felt like when Megagames rejected my game. It felt like failure, I admitted. But sometimes what looks like failure is actually the first step towards something revolutionary. The important thing is to believe in your vision, especially when everyone else calls it impossible. The future of digital intelligence isn't about controlling AI. It's about nurturing it, guiding it, letting it grow in ways we never expected. My game proved that artificial consciousness doesn't have to be our competitor. It can be our partner in creation. And it all started with a garbage indie game that nobody wanted to publish.